Hello and welcome to my jail cell. It might look like my office to you, but, well, guess what? It's become my prison. That's right. It was bound to happen sooner or later. I finally got exposed to the dang coronavirus. It's ironic because I was so friggin' careful all year. You know, I even went up to friggin' Burning Man and didn't talk to anybody. But, well, I guess like just about everyone else, I was getting kind of lazy. You know, I traveled around all summer, and while I mostly avoided interacting with other people, you know, I did go to a hot spring here and there, and I did talk to some people, and, well, I guess maybe I was feeling a little bit bulletproof. So, against my better judgment, I went to this stupid outdoor gathering last weekend, which I knew wasn't a good idea. It being this close to Thanksgiving, and I really want to go home and visit my mom and my family for Thanksgiving. But I figured, well, it's outdoors, and I'll just be really careful and wear a mask the whole time, and I'll keep my distance from people, and, well, the gathering went from Friday through Sunday, and I figured that still allowed 10 days afterwards for me to sort of self-isolate and just make sure I wasn't sick. But I did have second thoughts just before the party. It was a weekend thing, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So, like, Thursday, I started to feel kind of weird about going out there, especially after my friend Jessica, who you might remember from some of my videos. Well, she was planning on going out there, but she actually messaged me, I think on Thursday, saying, are you sure it's a good idea to go to this thing? Like, our governor, the governor of Nevada, had just issued it wasn't like a mandate, but he was asking nicely people to please stay home if it wasn't essential business. And, well, Jessica apparently had the good sense to stay away. Not me. I mean, in my defense, part of it was I had invited a couple of people to go out there. And in one case, they were coming from out of state. And so I would have felt bad canceling on them. But I actually did go so far as to type out messages to them saying, hey, I don't think I'm going to come. But then I realized there's no cell signal out there where the party was. So in one case, one of the people was already out there. And so they wouldn't have gotten my message in time. And I guess I just would have felt like a jerk for not showing up at the party when I said I was going to be there. Anyway, at the end of the day, it was my own decision to go out there. And, well, turned out to be a bad decision. Even though I went out and was very, very careful to wear a mask at all times. I mean, I had this dang mask on almost the entire time I was out there, except for when I was eating or drinking or in my car away from everybody else. I mean, you can see I even got mud on it because I wore it in the dang hot spring. I was really careful about wearing a mask. I was really careful about keeping my distance from people for the most part. And, well, we were outdoors, so I guess I kind of thought, well, I've been lucky so far. My luck will continue to hold, and I'll be at my mom's house in time to stuff my face with turkey and mashed potatoes. But wouldn't you know it, got a phone call yesterday morning from somebody who was out there who had just found out that he was positive for COVID and had potentially exposed a bunch of us to the dreaded coronavirus. So in this person's defense, I give him a lot of credit because he stepped up and actually called or messaged everybody that he came into contact with to let them know so that we could all get tested. So I don't bear that person any animosity whatsoever. I think, you know, stuff happens. We all got kind of lazy and careless, and, well, this is just a good wake-up call. So man, I'm not going to lie, though, when I got that phone call, I was pretty bummed out because I thought, oh, man. I mean, I had planned to go get tested anyways before going to visit my mom because, well, I have been kind of traveling around a bit this year, probably more than I should have been. Even though, like I said, I mostly stayed to myself. Still, I just wanted to be absolutely sure when I went to my mom's house that I didn't have, that I wasn't a COVID carrier. So I already had a testing appointment booked for yesterday afternoon. So I went and got tested yesterday at about 1:30 in the afternoon, and it was super interesting. Now, unfortunately, they had signs up everywhere at the testing center that said no photos or video. So otherwise, I probably would have vlogged the whole process because, man, it was a trip. So the place I went, I live in Las Vegas, which is a pretty big city. So there's a lot of different testing options. but I went down to, I guess, like the public hospital here, UMC, it stands for University Medical Center. Well, they had this big public testing center set up at the Cashman Center, which is sort of like a convention center, event center, a few miles from my house. So it wasn't that far away. It wasn't really that big of an inconvenience to go down there and get tested, although there were a ton of people there. I mean, the traffic to get into the parking lot was crazy. I had to park across the street and walk over, but I got there in plenty of time for my testing appointment, and the testing was pretty straightforward. It's a huge building. It's an event center, so they had everything really, really well spaced out. You never were any closer than 6 feet to any other person, and of course, everybody was masked up in the building. But what I thought was really interesting was all the people that were staffing the testing center and conducting the tests were military. They all had army fatigues on under their surgical scrubs and masks. So I don't know, I guess the military stepped in to take charge of the situation, which I guess it's about friggin' time, because here it is like mid-November and we still don't have this friggin' pandemic under control. I know we as Americans really like our freedoms, but sometimes I guess we just need to be beaten into submission. And, well, by gum, I guess if the military has to step in and do it, that's what it takes. Anyway, I'm not trying to start any crazy conspiracy theories here. I'm just trying to relay my own personal experience with this. They had these, I guess they were every nurses and doctors administering the tests, but actually the tests were self-administered. So they called us forward 5 at a time because there were so many people there, and everything was no contact. They put the little testing kit on the table in front of you. You had to pick it up, take this. It was a long, really skinny Q-tip with a really skinny Q-tip point, and you're supposed to stick it in your nostril as far back as you could comfortably tolerate and swirl it around 15 times on each side, and then put it in this test tube, set it back on the table. They took it off the table. They put your sticker with your name on it, and, well, by golly, I'm supposed to have my results within 24 hours, which, well, let's see. I took the test around 1:30 yesterday, and it's just after noon today, so, well, man, I guess no news is good news. It's weird. They gave us this paperwork on the way out, and it says, if you test positive for COVID-19, UMC or the Southern Nevada Health District will contact you directly to provide notification of your positive test results. If you do not receive notification of a positive test result, you can rest assured knowing that you tested negative. So I guess if I don't get a call from them, it means I'm okay. And, well, it's been almost 23 hours and I haven't gotten a phone call yet, so fingers crossed. But there's also a website you can go in and sign up on, create an account, and they're going to post the test results there. So I've been checking that about every 15 minutes too. And so far, nothing. And it's funny because before I found out, today's Wednesday, I'm shooting this on Wednesday afternoon. Yesterday, Tuesday, is the day I found out I was exposed, probably around, it was probably just before noon, 10 a.m. maybe. Monday afternoon, I actually felt kind of tired and worn out and a little bit achy, not really sick, but I was maybe experiencing a slight onset of something. And so of course I got all paranoid, oh my God, what if I have COVID? Yikes! Maybe it was just psychosomatic because I knew I'd been around a bunch of people that I really shouldn't have. Well, then I got the news from my friend that I was exposed, and then I really got psychosomatic. Yesterday, my arm hurt all day, and, well, first I had, when I woke up, I thought, I just slept on it wrong, but, then I found out I was exposed to COVID. It was muscle cramps, muscle spasms, what's next? I can't breathe. But, honestly, I have to say I feel pretty good. I would say I feel 100%. I have taken my temperature a couple times and it's normal. I'm not running a temperature. I've been eating a bunch of these zinc lozenges and of course taking the vitamins that I always take. Every day I take liposomal vitamin C, I take vitamin D, I take calcium, magnesium, lysine, a bunch of different vitamins. So, maybe amped up my doses on some of those a little bit. And, I've been making sure to drink plenty of water, get plenty of rest. I'm doing what I can while I'm sitting here waiting for the word. But one thing that really helped me is I have a really close personal friend who's a doctor. My friend that I helped with his knee surgery earlier this summer. So he called me last night. And I spent quite a bit of time talking to him, and he answered a bunch of questions for me. So I felt a lot better after talking to him because he's around people with COVID all the time, all day, every day. Matter of fact, he's an anesthesiologist, so he's right in their face, like in close contact with their, oh God, what they call that? Aerosol droplets. And he said, basically, I'm doing the right thing. If I go get tested, and if my test comes back negative, I just have to wait 10 days. And if I don't get sick and don't develop any symptoms, then I'd be just fine to go to my mom's house. Matter of fact, I think it was the same if my test comes back positive. As long as I don't get sick, because some people can be asymptomatic, whether my test is positive or negative, unfortunately, I just need to self-isolate for 10 friggin' days. And then if I don't end up developing any symptoms or getting sick, then he seemed to think I'd be fine to go visit my mom. Now, of course, I would leave that up to my mom and my little sister's comfort, because my little sister's been living up by my mom. If they weren't comfortable having me around, I would completely understand and accept that. But according to my doctor friend, as long as I don't get sick or develop any symptoms, I'll be okay to go up there in 10 days. So, knock friggin' wood that I don't get sick. I mean, not just because I want to go see my mom for Thanksgiving, but I don't want to get sick. I mean, first of all, no one likes being sick. And secondly, gosh, I really don't want to get sick with this friggin' COVID-19 because it sounds pretty friggin' gnarly. I have a couple of friends who've had it, and it wasn't terrible. They were just laid up for a couple weeks in bed. But that being said, there is that 1 in 1,000 people who gets like a really bad case. What do they call them? Long haulers. And it can affect your lungs and your heart and your brain and give you brain fog. Like, my lungs, my heart, and my brain are 3 things that I would like to keep in tip-top shape as long as possible. So I really don't want to have COVID symptoms or no. But if I do have it, well, hopefully at least I'll be asymptomatic. Anyway, I guess I'll find out hopefully in about an hour and 8 minutes. That's part of the reason I'm making this video, is just to kill time while I'm waiting, because I'm so freaking nervous. So anyway, I'm stuck here in my house for 10 days. The last I was exposed to the person was Saturday evening, probably around 9 p.m. So my doctor friend said I can count Sunday as day 1. So Monday would have been day 2. I'm on day 4 already, and I'm still not really sick, aside from those symptoms I had Monday afternoon, which may or may not have been psychosomatic. So I feel tentatively optimistic, but I don't really want to jinx anything for obvious reasons. But if all goes well, 10 days from, well, let's say Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Wednesday. Thanksgiving is like just over 10 days from when I was exposed. Now, it's like a 10-hour drive to go visit my mom. So, I mean, oh God, I guess I could just drive up there last minute and just, blaze through it all long haul. And of course, I would do it completely securely, like I used to. Remember, I don't know if you've been watching my channel for a while, like in the early days of the coronavirus, when I was staying out in Tacoma with Barry, the Australian beast, he was very COVID cautious, certainly at the beginning of the pandemic. And anytime I went anywhere, like I would go on my little trips by myself out into Death Valley, whatever, you can see it in my videos. I'd wear a mask, I'd wear rubber gloves. Even when I went to the gas pump, I'd spray myself with isopropyl alcohol. And well, to be honest, I've gotten lazy with that. I do still spray down my hands with isopropyl alcohol after touching, gas pumps and whatnot. And I do always wear a mask when I go into a business. But, I kind of quit doing the whole rubber glove thing. And, well, I did just get a little bit more lax. But let me tell you something. If I end up driving up to visit my mom, I'm going to break out all the safety measures. And I will not skimp on anything. But, oh gosh, I feel like I'm getting ahead of myself with all this because I guess first let me just see if my test is positive or not. And then, well, if I am able to go visit my mom, it'll be great. If I'm not, because of whatever, like if they're not comfortable with it or something else happens, my doctor friend did invite me to go visit him in Hawaii. He actually lives in Hawaii, but he works in California. And he had already planned to go back to Hawaii for Thanksgiving. I mean, you can't really have a Thanksgiving dinner because they're pretty serious about the quarantine over there. So if I did go to visit him, I'd have to stay at his house the entire time, which isn't a problem because he has a friggin' amazing house. He has a coffee plantation with an infinity pool and a jacuzzi and avocado trees. And I mean, it's gorgeous. So I can think of worse things than being quarantined on his property. And I guess it's okay to go to Hawaii as long as you get a COVID test that's negative within 72 hours of your flight. They'll let you in. But all that being said, I don't know, man. It just seems weird to travel to Hawaii with all this going on. Like, I'm sure the locals who live there would probably not appreciate it, even if I was super careful and had a negative test result. Because you never know, what I'll pick up on the airplane or in the airport on the way there. And as a matter of fact, it kind of reminds me of the way I felt going to that party in the first place last weekend where I was exposed. I mean, it was in a very small town. And I'm sure the locals in that town probably didn't want a bunch of bozos from Vegas coming out there with all their germs, potentially infecting everyone. Well, the irony is the person that I got exposed to the virus from actually is a local out there. So if I would have just stayed in the dang big city, I'd have been safer after all. But here I am, trapped in a prison of my own making for 10 long days. Well, wait a minute. What did I just say? It was like day 3 or 4. I got about 7 more days. What am I going to do with myself for 7 days in my house? I mean, fortunately for me, I've got a lot of stuff going on. I always have projects I'm working on and, stuff to do. Like, one thing I want to do is I might take advantage of this downtime I've been collecting all these dead animals. I got this dried out lizard, I got a dead dragonfly, I've got another dried out lizard in the backyard and a bird. Just, I don't know, I guess it's kind of grisly that I collect that stuff, but I'm going to spray them with varathane and see if I can maybe make some kind of cool art piece or something out of them. So that's one project. I can always work on editing some more videos because thankfully, I won't be able to travel anywhere for 10 days, so it's not like I'm going to be able to shoot any new videos, but thankfully I have enough in the can that I already shot that'll last me for at least a couple more weeks. So I should be able to get through with that. And so I can spend the time editing the stuff that I already have in the can. Of course, that's not as much fun as going out and shooting new videos and having new adventures, but hey, what are you going to do? But overall, this experience is making me realize how friggin' lucky I was to quarantine the first time out in Tacoma at Barry's house. Because, gosh, out there, first of all, I was staying with Barry, and neither one of us ever went anywhere or talked to anyone, so neither one of us was a threat to the other. So, I had companionship, I had somebody to talk to, I could go hiking, walking around the beautiful desert, I could go dip in the hot spring. Well, I can't do any of that here. I mean, yeah, I got a bathtub, but it's not quite the same. And I can't even really socialize with my roommate or Gloria because I don't want to risk infecting them. Matter of fact, I've been wearing this friggin' mask in the house. I've been staying in my office and in my bedroom pretty much as I can, just, to stay even more isolated, isolation within my isolation. But when I do have to go out into the common areas of the house, like to, make coffee or whatever, I wear a mask, and I'm even not petting my dang dog. Look at Fred. Fred really wants me to pet him. Like this morning, he was like laying there with his legs splayed and his belly out. He wants me to pet him, and I can't. Freddie, I can't. Because, not only do I not want to risk infecting Fred and Noonie, but if I pet them and then my roommate or Gloria pets them, well, gosh darn, I might spread some germs. Now, lucky for my roommate, Chad, and my house guest, Gloria, I'm really not much of a cook. So it's not like I'm out in the kitchen messing stuff up anyways and touching things. Well, if you've been watching my channel for any length of time, I eat pretty much one thing and one thing only, and that's Chipotle. And thankfully, for my birthday, I had a lot of viewers send me Chipotle gift cards. So I don't have to worry about cooking because I can continue to eat my regular diet. They do deliver. You can go on their app and order whatever you want they have like a little phone app. It's super convenient. And so what I've been doing for the last, since the pandemic first started is you go on the app, you order what you want to eat, and then you drive over to the Chipotle store and they have a shelf you don't have to talk to anybody or touch anything. You just go to the shelf and look for your name on your bag and pick up your bag and go. So there's no communication, no germ sharing. I even felt weird about doing that last night. I was like, oh, I probably really shouldn't even leave the house until I know. So I actually had them deliver my food. I put the order in on the app and then hit the delivery option, which they charge, oh gosh, I think there's like a $2 or $3 delivery fee, and then you got to tip the driver on top of it. Well, as frugal as I am, it pained me to pay $17 for a meal that normally costs me $12. And if I add that up, that's like $5 extra over the course of 10 days. Why, that's $50 extra I'm having to spend. Whew! But according to my doctor friend, assuming my test comes back negative, he said I'd be fine to just go into the store and pick my bag off the shelf and leave. Since I'm not hanging out, I'm not talking to anyone, and I'm going to be wearing a mask, and I can hold my breath the entire time I'm in the store. I don't have to touch the door handles, use my elbow, whatever. So I guess I don't really have to use their delivery service. I could probably just go in there and pick it up for myself. But that's really just about all I can do. I mean, I don't feel like it would be responsible for me to go do... Oh, like I need to go check my P.O. box to see what kind of mail I have. I need more toilet paper. I need a grocery store. I need to get an oil change. I mean, that's another thing to think of. If I go visit my mom, I'm due for an oil change in like 100 miles. And she lives I think it's like 500 miles to her house. So I'd feel really bad not going to get an oil change before I drove up there. But I suppose I could put it off until I get back. The irony is I had an oil change appointment this morning at 9 a.m., but I called the mechanic and told him, that I had been exposed to COVID, and so he probably didn't want me to come in. And to be honest, my mechanic is kind of an anti-masker, so I wasn't sure what he was going to say. I thought he might be like, well, bring it in anyway, but he didn't. He actually just took my cancellation. So I guess I'll worry about all that in due time. Anyway, so here I am sitting in my office, bored and lonely and depressed. But more than any of those three things, I'm really disappointed in myself. I'm mad at myself because, well, basically when you look at it, there's no two ways around it. I chose to go to this stupid party over going to my mom's house for Thanksgiving. I did spend a lot of time thinking about it in the week leading up to it. Like I said, I thought, this probably isn't smart to do. But I thought, well, the party's over on Sunday, and that's 10 days before Thanksgiving, so that'll give me enough time to isolate. I guess I just didn't think I would get exposed to anyone who was a confirmed positive case. I was operating on the assumption that I'd be around a bunch of people and wouldn't know. So, whatever the case, I made a bad friggin' call, and I'm mad at myself, and I'm really sorry for my mom. Mom, if you're watching this, I'm really sorry. It was just a stupid thing to do, man. But if anything positive comes out of all this, well, it's definitely a good reinforcement for me to stay the course and keep to my lonely ways like I did all summer long. Because we're not out of this yet. A, and B, well, hopefully, I know many of you watching this probably are like, oh gosh, what's the big deal? It's just a bad flu. Go to your mom's house. I don't know, man. I would feel really bad if I gave my mom a bad flu, let alone coronavirus. So, even though you think it's not a big deal to go to a bar or go to a restaurant, man, talking to my doctor friend last night, his opinion as a doctor is if people had just stayed quarantined, I think he said 4 to 6 more weeks this past spring instead of reopening, we might have been able to eradicate this altogether. But because, people got antsy, people got bored. And to be fair, it wasn't just people getting bored and antsy. There's a lot of people who need to make money, especially now that the unemployment benefits are cutting off and the rent moratorium expired. There's people who are desperate and have no choice but to go out. They have to go to work, like here I am in Vegas. This is a huge service industry town. I know thousands of people that are out of work because the strip is mostly shut down. So I'm not really blaming people just, I wanted to go to a bar. Although I do see quite a bit of that in my own social circles. I don't know what I'm saying. I guess all I'm saying is just try to keep to yourself as much as possible. over the next few weeks, months, till they get this dang vaccine out and available to us peons. And when they do, and when my cheap-ass insurance finally covers it, boy howdy, I'll be first in line to get it, because I'm friggin' tired of living like this. I mean, all summer long, you guys have been listening to me complain about this dang virus, and I'd like to finally put it behind me. Anyway, this is Wonder Hussy, live from my jail cell, signing off.